Hey ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As always, it is Nick here, back with your daily crypto news and analysis. And today we are going to be talking about the entire crypto market. So sit back, relax, and before we fully jump on into this video, I do just want to ask guys, please leave a like on this video. It does help the channel grow immensely, and I do greatly appreciate that. Now today is of course the day after the Fed has increased the rates to 0.25%. Honestly, like I told you guys yesterday, it is nothing. It was priced into the market. Today, if we hit refresh, let's make sure everything is up to date. So here we have it. Ethereum is outperforming, of course, Bitcoin on the 7-day span and even on the 24-hour, but not by much on the 24 hours, you guys do see. But I will say this, when we are focusing on the bigger picture here, I'm looking at Ethereum closely because we are seeing a major shift in this market. We're going to be discussing that. We're also going to be talking about altcoins. So let's just not waste too much time and let's just get into things. So obviously, ApeCoin is up massively because, it just came out. But in terms of actual altcoins and things that are, printing a little bit of a better picture for us, we're seeing some slight bullish prices throughout the market. Nothing too crazy. Like for the most part, everything is kind of stuck in, single digit figures. But a few of these are doing pretty good for the most part. But I'm focused on the bigger aspects here. So although we've seen the Fed update the hikes, which also, by the way, real quick, so when we're talking about things happening right now within the markets, everything kind of made a 180 shift overnight. Yesterday, the indices looked pretty rough. We've seen Bitcoin starting to make a little bit of a nice upward trend. And now today, we see the indices doing very good. We're seeing the Dow Jones up 418 points, the Nasdaq up almost 178 points, the S&P 500 up almost 54 points. Things changed overnight because of the uncertainty within the markets. Now we're seeing a major shift throughout the entire market of crypto and also even, stocks. When we're talking about the 10-year bonds, so let me go to the 10-year. 1 second. Let me load this up. When we're talking, so this is actually the wrong one. So let's go to the TVC one. So here we go. So when we're talking about this, today we've seen a little bit of a drop and test of a little bit of support. I mean, there's not a lot of support within this area. I mean, even if we go back in time, this is actual resistance that we're testing technically. But the 10-year is still telling us that there's a ton of interest within these risk to reward ratio investments. And I think that the uncertainty within the markets kind of got wiped away after the Fed announced what they, announced yesterday, which was, of course, an increase to 0.25%, which I told you guys is basically priced into the markets anyway. So it's not a real big concern. But we also see some other things happening, like, for example, the dollar. Coming down, testing that support zone yet again. And I really want to talk to you guys about this because when we're talking about the dollar, we were getting a little bit sketched out when it was up here into the 702 level, gaining a little bit of strength. That was a concerning factor. But now that we're coming down, testing the support zone at about the 618, I'm watching for a lot lower prices, or I shouldn't say prices, but strength in the dollar, coming down to about the 236 for an example. Testing this 236 would be absolutely massive for us. And it will also help the markets really get a lot more strength in them. But of course, this is not going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time, similar to, back here. I mean, this started back in the May 14th time frame, and it really kind of started to bottom out on, of course, the 236 at around roughly August. So it took about 2 months. Now, we are seeing the RSI break sharply down below the moving average, which is very good for us because it tells us that there's actually a lot less strength in the dollar, which again is very good for Bitcoin and the entire crypto market. But we're also watching some patterns playing out. So shout out to Gertvin Login. I'm hoping that I'm saying that name correctly. If you guys want to go check them out, you guys are more than welcome to. But here's a little bit of some technical analysis on the dollar and its pattern in terms of the Wyckoff distribution. And here we have it. We're basically in the UTAD area. This is basically the UTAD area. Now we're kind of breaking down here, and honestly, if we do test a major low, it will be below that phase B at about 94.78. We actually have that on the chart here. So here's 90. I mean, we have 94.48 and a half. If we do break down below this area, it's going to look very, very rough for the dollar, but it will bring us down to 236, which I think that we can go that low if the dollar goes into a little bit of a bear market, which will, of course, lead us to a bull market across the board on a lot of risk assets like, of course, stocks and even crypto. Now, with this, in terms of Bitcoin, I don't really like the Bitcoin chart too much. It looks a little, rough, but I will say this. Okay, we have been making higher lows, which is very bullish. RSI still looks pretty strong here. Volume is still kind of sitting around a stable point, but I will say this. When we do test 44K yet again, which 44K has been a major resistance point for us, considering how many taps we've had, considering how long we've been in consolidation, because since our actual bottom figure number that we have placed in, so we'll go back to around January 22nd, we have been in this consolidation phase for about 54 days. I mean, this is pretty rough, I will say that. But for the most part, we have been kind of holding steady. There hasn't been too much, movement along the board on Bitcoin that is calling for a concern. We've had some, rough days. For example, here you have, February 24th, where we came down to 34K. But overall, when we're talking about the next major breaking point for Bitcoin, it would be breaking above 44K. Now, there is a lot of, technical analysis patterns behind this as well. Big move incoming. My bias is up. Confirmation is acceptance above 45K. But to be honest, I think acceptance above 43K will do. Bears don't, about to get destroyed, in my opinion. And honestly, in my opinion as well, like when we're talking about Bitcoin, we're just waiting for a lot of strength above this level here at about like 42.6, almost 42.7K. But I'm with him on this. A break above like around like 43 to 44K is clear validation for me at least. I think that, on the next major test of resistance, we will eventually break it. But we have to, be able to get a lot of strength to get to that point as well. And we actually see that their acceptance rate around here is like 58 to 60K. I actually have a similar target, but mine's at around like 53, almost 54K to about 56K. That's where I really want Bitcoin back to. That's that major demand zone going back as far as like October before we went to, of course, all-time highs of about 69K. So overall, Bitcoin, I don't really like the current chart just because it is kind of just sideways momentum, which will lead to, a possible major move. We could retest 38K technically, but for the most part, I am watching for major upside potential. Also, we do see credible crypto. It's clear that the 2-month consolidation at 3240K is either reaccumulation or distribution. Context may help us identify which of the two it is. With Bitcoin down some 50% from the highs, a clean, TL retest, wave count, HL market structure, etc. I'm betting it's the former. And of course, when we're talking about those trend lines being tested, we could come down, retest that low before we have that strong bounce, but it all depends on if we do hit some major resistance. I mean, I believe that the higher lows in terms of the structure that we have been printing since the A to the even C pattern on the chart that you guys do see currently, I think that that is indicating that we do have a major bouncing point here eventually. That wave 5 is what everyone's been waiting for, and it could lead us to around the fall time frame, which is basically what's being printed on the chart currently. The higher low structure that he is basically talking about is what I just discussed previously when I was looking at the chart. We're having this higher low pattern set since January, and of course January to February is showing us that, and even in March now too. Like, we could technically say that this was our low point in March, followed by, of course, a little bit of sideways momentum, but overall, when we are talking about his targets, he's looking at 122 to 150K. I think that is a very, very fair level as well. But, is this wave C, similar to what CoinsKid is saying here? The big question is the C wave of 4 finished? And that is the big issue here that we currently are awaiting. We're waiting to see confirmation of the bottom being in for the wave 4. We just don't know yet. But of course, if wave 4 is finished, then our next major move would be wave 5, which will of course bring alts to some major high targets if Bitcoin dominance starts to have that nice downward trend. Right now, Bitcoin dominance is kind of in a little bit of a falling formation, trading below, of course, the moving average on the RSI. But what I'm really kind of watching is Ethereum dominance, because Ethereum dominance is having a nice day. It's having a field day. And also Ethereum is trading a little bit against resistance. If we could break over this 236 at about 2.8K, that'll be very bullish for us, because as you guys do see back here, when we did break it, we instantly went to about $3,200 at the 382. And of course, after that gets broken, it's all on. I mean, the bears are done. They're killed. We're basically very bullish on Ethereum yet again. Now, with this in mind, I do believe that Ethereum could lead the market if we do have a major rally. We've seen this back in 2017 and 2018, but we are watching alts a little bit. I mean, in terms of XRP, I am still watching that 92-cent level. On XLM, I'm still watching the 25-cent level, and this is actually not the chart that I want to show you guys. Here's the Coinbase one. So that 24 cents roughly area is what I'm watching for on XLM. We're seeing a lot of strength along the boards on some altcoins. I mean, for the most part, XRP has been holding the moving average on the RSI. We're seeing XLM actually bouncing extremely strong off of the moving average on the RSI as well. QNT really kind of bouncing and then retesting the RSI. Volume is looking pretty rough on QNT for the most part, but volume on XLM and XRP is still pretty good, holding fairly strong. And then of course like Hbar, like we're still seeing a little bit of weakness along the boards for some of these. But if you do look at some of these charts, like for example, you could see like even the Ethereum chart. For some of these, like this is fairly bearish, because of course Ethereum is starting its major little bit of a rally. I mean, if we do break over that fib level, it's going to look very good. But you do see alts compared to Ethereum to Bitcoin looks pretty good. I mean, like when we're talking about Bitcoin right now, there's not a lot of strength in Bitcoin compared to Ethereum. Ethereum is actually outperforming Bitcoin, which is not a bad thing currently if we could see Ethereum kind of lead the way and bring some alts with it, while Bitcoin starts to range a little bit before its next major breaking point, because that means that we could see some gains along the board for some alts until of course Bitcoin takes the wheel and then kind of leads the market a little bit more. But for the most part, I will say this, to sum everything up, most of the markets look very good. I mean, the indices look good. Bitcoin's chart is a little rough, but like I said, if we do have confirmation that the wave 4 is in, the bottom of the wave 4 structure, then we are looking for a very good, move along the board for Bitcoin very, very soon. Like I said, if we do not break out on 44K for Bitcoin, if we don't have that next major move on Bitcoin, then we will definitely look at, testing a major low. That low would be at around like roughly, if we come down to the bottom structure of this, it would be at like 38.8, which would be the low from yesterday being tested, which I don't really think that there's many catalysts to have a bearish market currently. I mean, everyone was kind of waiting on the Fed hike increase, and honestly, it was really nothing to be worried about anyways. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on if you guys want more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. If you guys do want more paid content, you guys are more than welcome to go check out NCashOfficial.com, where I have my exit plans and all that kind of stuff. But with that being said, I hope that you all have a beautiful day or beautiful night wherever you guys are in this beautiful world. This has been Nick. Peace out, guys.